Good morning, America. This morning, new firestorms, the raging flames in California's wine country, buildings burning.
Mandatory evacuation order. Leave your homes.
Massive efforts in the air and on the ground to save lives and property.
This is truly one of the greatest, if not the greatest tragedy that California's ever faced.
Roads jammed with people fleeing the flames, tender care for the littlest victims. And from the ashes, a miracle survival story.
We didn't expect to see her.
The pain in Puerto Rico, the governor giving a new estimate of how long it'll take before the power's back on. People seeking refuge wherever they can.
So you live right here, but you're in your car right now for air conditioning.
As the Army sets up critically needed hospitals already flooded with patients.
Season of war, Steve Bannon's fiery speech at the Values Voters Summit, taking aim at the GOP establishment.
This is not my war. This is our war.
As President Trump tees off with one of its key members.
And kicked out, Harvey Weinstein expelled from the Oscar Club.
There's no way in hell Harvey Weinstein's being invited to the Oscars this year or any year in the conceivable future. He's gone.
The Academy giving him the boot. Who else shares this dubious distinction?
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
And we want to say good Sunday morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we do start with the latest on those historic and deadly wildfires in California that are being fueled by dry conditions. The death toll is rising, and many more families are being forced to evacuate their homes.
It's now been a week since the fires broke out, and they show no signs of abating. Almost 900 firefighters out there on the front lines trying to contain them, get an upper hand here. The heavy smoke in Northern California now visible from space. We have imagery from NASA here.
It's pretty incredible, that image right there. Here's what we know this morning. 16 large fires are burning. 5,700 structures have been destroyed. 100,000 people have been evacuated, and at least 40 fatalities as the deadliest wildfires in California history rage on.
And unfortunately, the conditions today are not going to be favorable. We're looking at more wind and low humidity. Rob is standing by with your forecast, but we begin here with ABC's Lindsay Janis, who's on the ground in Petaluma, California. Lindsay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan and Paula. Firefighters working overnight trying to tackle these infernos. Strong and erratic winds causing one of the toughest 24-hour periods since this disaster began. Critical to the fight. Nearly 150 aircraft, including dozens of the helicopters like the ones you see behind me, flying constant missions, dropping water and retardant on these fires, trying to slow them down. This morning, firefighters in an all-out battle to save lives and homes.
All right, let me get her feet.
Fierce winds driving fresh firestorms, burning more buildings in the Santa Rosa area and near Sonoma City. As an army of aircraft wage war on the flames from above, desperately trying to protect homes and wineries.
We've had a lot of erratic winds.
On the ground, 10,000 firefighters tested by volatile conditions.
This bulldozer taking down trees and brush so the fire will stop.
The fires forcing new emergency evacuations.
Sheriff's office!
Police waking up residents hours before dawn on Saturday.
Sonoma County Sheriff's Office, mandatory evacuation order. Leave your homes.
Chaos and panic.
It's scary, and then people are running out of their houses, knocking on the neighbors' doors like, you have to leave, wake up, you have to leave.
As hundreds scrambled to get out, only to find themselves in a traffic jam. 100,000 people now forced out of their homes since the disaster began a week ago. The constant stress becoming too much.
You're worried about where everyone is. I go to work every day and I'm concerned, but hey, it's okay. We're all together.
This morning, the death toll climbing to at least 40 people.
This is truly one of the greatest, if not the greatest tragedy that California's ever faced.
Over the last week, 2 million gallons of retardant dropped on these fires. The Nuns fire that's raging out of control here in Sonoma County this morning, just 15% contained. But 2 other major fires, including the one that devastated the city of Santa Rosa, now more than 45% contained. That's a lot of progress. Dan and Paula?
Indeed, Lindsay, thank you. As we said, though, the conditions for the firefighters today looking tough.
Yeah, Rob's tracking that part of the story for us this morning. Hi there, Rob.
Hey, good morning, guys. Especially for Southern California. You saw Lindsay's shot that the winds weren't blowing too badly there in Northern California, but it's still very, very dry. So they have red flag warnings out for Napa and Sonoma counties there, and wind advisories out for the south. This big blue H is shifting inland a little bit, so that means that the critical fire criteria is going to be met across Southern California. Those Santa Ana winds blowing over the mountains and compressing down, and that air drying out as it gets into some of these valleys, 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusts of 50. That is not good, and relative humidity levels dropping below 10%, so it's going to be a difficult day today for sure. Some rain coming, but not for a while. Talk more about that in a bit. Paula?
Thanks very much, Rob. We want to move now to the ongoing crisis in Puerto Rico. It has been over 3 weeks since Maria hit, and right now only 15% of the island has power.
And the governor's now out with a new estimate for when power will be fully restored. Mid-December. ABC's Victor Oquendo is in San Juan. Victor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan and Paula. Communication is also still so bad across the island. Many of the people that we spoke with had no idea what the governor had said about power being restored. They actually found out through us that they likely won't have power for another 2 months.
This morning, more than 85% of Puerto Rico waking up without power, and the governor now says it will be this way for about another 2 months. He doesn't expect the majority of the island to have power restored until December 15th. 2 more months of sweltering heat for the people in this neighborhood outside San Juan. Luis Rodriguez and his girlfriend using pieces of cardboard to fan their twin toddlers.
Once nighttime comes, they start crying, they get uncomfortable.
Their neighbors finding other ways to cool off.
So you live right here.
Yes.
But you're in your car right now for air conditioning.
Yes.
Some much-needed help has arrived, though, southeast of San Juan, where Hurricane Maria's eye passed. The Army just set up a hospital outside the Humacao Arena.
There's a lot of musculoskeletal, bone, joint, skin injuries, people cleaning up their homes, people being injured because it's dark and wet everywhere.
With hospitals at capacity and staff stretched thin, this 44-bed makeshift hospital is a critical lifeline. FB Franco's home in Las Piedras flooded, and there's still water inside. He slipped and fell. Franco heard he could get help at the arena and made the 30-minute walk with a dislocated knee.
This is my good knee. This is not. I was trying to wait it out, but it was painful enough to come here and check it out.
And the Army couldn't give us a timetable for how long they'll be here on the ground, but they say that hospital is up and running and they're ready for any patient that comes through the door. Dan, Paula?
Victor, thank you. So much suffering. And again, these are American citizens. We appreciate it, Victor. Back here on the mainland, meanwhile, an ominous warning to Republicans from the president's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon.
In a fiery speech, he says conservative voters are coming for them. And ABC's David Wright is at the White House for us this morning. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paula and Dan. Steve Bannon was speaking to the Values Voters Summit here in Washington, D.C. His speech quite warmly received, and it offered some real insights into the mentality of Trump loyalists, an angry crowd who see themselves at war with the GOP establishment.
This is not my war. This is our war.
Trump's former chief strategist insists the president is winning that war.
Every day is like Christmas Day now. I can't wait to get up. It's going to be a new package. This is the Trump program. This is what we always wanted.
As Steve Bannon sees it, Trump's first year has been a trial by fire.
You got the Bay of Pigs down in Venezuela. You have the Cuban Missile Crisis in Korea. You got Vietnam and Afghanistan. That's not his doing.
And Bannon says Republicans and Democrats share the blame. Bannon cited Republican Senator Bob Corker's sharp words to the New York Times last week about President Trump.
We could be heading towards World War III with the kind of comments that he's making.
Comments that no GOP senator has condemned.
Corker said he gave up the game. He said, hey, there's only 1 or 2 senators up here that have any respect or admiration for President Trump. The rest of them all talk like I do, behind closed doors. Right now, it's a season of war against a GOP establishment.
And yet, even as Bannon was blasting the Republican establishment, President Trump was teeing off with one of its key members, Senator Lindsey Graham. This was, by our account, the 72nd day of his administration that the president visited a golf course, usually one of his own. 72 days, although his aides are cagey about whether he actually does golf on these outings. Yesterday he did. Now, President Trump, as of today, has been in office 268 days. And if you do the math, that's 1 out of every 4 days visiting a golf course. Dan and Paula?
And we know how long a round of golf could take as well. David Wright, thank you for your reporting.
And he had some pretty tough words for Obama and his golfing habit.
He certainly did. And we want to bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who's going to be hosting this week.
Good morning, guys.
This morning. First and foremost, let's start with Steve Bannon, basically saying he's declaring war on the Republican establishment, saying this is not my war, this is our war. But now he's out there promoting a group of primary challengers that could potentially unseat the establishment. How much of an impact do you think he's going to have?
Already had an impact. We saw in Alabama a couple weeks ago, his candidate, Judge Roy Moore, defeated the president's candidate in that primary, who is the incumbent senator who is a member of the Republican establishment. He called out several of the Republicans by name yesterday, saying they are going to be vulnerable to primary challenges as well. It could end up unseating them. It could bring in more partisan, even more hardcore conservatives into the Republican Party. But I think the big question is, what impact will it have on the president's agenda? Will it in fact do anything to advance the president's agenda? We haven't seen evidence of that yet.
Let's talk about what the president's been doing in terms of rolling back Obamacare. He's made some pretty aggressive moves of late. You have Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leader in the House, on the show this morning. Do you think what Trump's been doing on Obamacare makes her more or less likely to want to cut a deal with him on this issue?
Less, much less. What the president did this week was 2 executive orders, one which loosened the regulations on insurance plans, or intends to, things on pre-existing conditions and the essential benefits. Also, more important, cutting those subsidies to insurance companies which help poor people pay for the insurance. The Democrats aren't going to go along with anything that repeals Obamacare, but the president is making progress, if you consider that progress, on his agenda of repealing and replacing Obamacare, not with Congress, but step by step on his own.
He seems to be forcing the issue. Well, you have Nancy Pelosi on the show, but you also have the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, on. And there's a lot of debate about what happens next with the Iran deal. And Trump's kind of equivocated on this, basically punted it to Congress. How do you think it's all going to play out?
That's right. He's certified it, but is not pulled out of the deal just yet. He wants Congress to come up with tougher conditions. Right now, Congress doesn't appear to be ready to do that, although some in Congress welcome what the president did. Our allies are saying we're going to stick by the agreement right now. A lot will depend going forward on how Iran responds to this, what Congress does going forward. And I think the other big question there is, how is North Korea going to take all this? If the president seems willing to undo a nuclear deal with Iran, does that give us any hope for any kind of negotiations with North Korea?
Incredibly complex world out there. George, thank you very much.
George.
And George has a big show this morning. He's going to talk with U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, as has been mentioned. He's also going to be talking to Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, as well as Republican Senator Susan Collins. That's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC. Thank you again,
George has some power women on the show today. Love to see that. Thanks, George. And let's check in with Ron Claiborne for a look at the other news headlines.
Lettuce. Good morning to you, Dan and Paula. Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin at Virginia State University, which was on lockdown overnight because of a shooting on campus. Police say a man was shot during homecoming celebrations at the school in Petersburg, Virginia, Saturday night. He is expected to recover the school on lockdown for more than 4 hours while investigators combed the scene. They say it was an isolated incident and there's no further threat. They are, though, still looking for the suspected shooter. In Miami, police are investigating the death of an 8-year-old girl on a cruise ship. They say the child fell about 2 stories from an interior balcony to the deck below on the Carnival cruise ship. As it was still docked, the girl was taken to a local hospital in critical condition. She died later. In Foxborough, Massachusetts, New England Patriots rookie Harvey Lange is recovering in a hospital this morning after the car he was riding in was rear-ended at a traffic signal. Lange and his wife were both injured in that accident. Their injuries said to be serious but non-life-threatening. Lange has played in 1 game with the Patriots so far this season. In Denver, prosecutors announcing that no criminal charges will be filed in connection with a high school cheerleading practice that led to one of the students being injured. An investigation was launched after video surfaced showing cheerleaders being forced into doing painful splits. The district attorney saying Saturday the coach's poor judgment does not constitute a prosecutable crime. That coach was fired after that incident came to light. In Germany, players and officials on a Berlin soccer team knelt before their match Saturday in what they said was a sign of support for the recent NFL protests here in the U.S. The IRTA team posting on Twitter, IRTA BSC stands for Tolerance and Responsibility for a Tolerant Berlin and an Open-Minded World now and forevermore. And finally, some 150 young men and women took part in a youth event on the south side of Chicago on Saturday, sponsored by the Obama Foundation. And guess who showed up?
I am going to go in there and surprise them. Hopefully, they actually appreciate me showing up as opposed to dying of shock.
Hey, everybody! It's a guy in an Obama impersonator. That is not the president. No, it was the president, actually, posting his behind-the-scenes video later on Facebook. He called on the young people there on the south side of Chicago to make a difference in their communities. So the former president visiting his old neighborhood.
Would have never expected him to show up at an Obama Foundation.
Yeah, imagine that.
I mean, go figure.
Now, if Steve Bannon had been there, that would have been interesting.
And he is a rock star in Chicago. He is a rock
Obama,
star.
not
Yes.
Bannon, we're talking.
Not Bannon, yes. Thanks for the clarification.
I'm sure the kids appreciated it.
We have a couple of rock stars.
Okay, there you go. Spread it around. Spread the love, Paul.
We're
I
talking
love
about Ron.
You're referring to
You're
me.
the bad mate.
Exactly. I'm just, tugging on his coattails.
What you got, man?
Hey, listen, we're going to talk Chicago. We got to talk there's some severe weather across Kansas City as well. Start with that video. Damage across the north side, trees coming down. This car taking it in the teeth for sure. And also in Chicago, I mentioned the severe weather. We've got rain that did this across the Chicago Riverwalk area. So some of the restaurants and cafes there were not all that nice for dining al fresco, and the river overflowing in spots for sure. Drier day today in Chicago, and dry across the West Coast for now, but we're starting to transition into mid-October. We get these systems developing in the Pacific, and this one will be developing Wednesday, maybe becoming an atmospheric river for the Pacific Northwest, tapping that other low and getting into Seattle, Portland, and yes, and maybe into San Francisco by Thursday afternoon, into the fire zone, and maybe even spreading as far south as Southern California. Hopefully that'll be the case today, though. Very warm with those Santa Ana winds blowing. 90 degrees expected in San Diego. Cooler air finally coming in behind the front in Chicago. Another warm day. Temperatures in 70s, close to 80 degrees across the East Coast as October continues its very, very warm month. That is a quick check on what's going on nationally. Weather-wise, here now is your local forecast.
Hi folks, we do have a warm day that turns windy. Morning clouds giving way to a partly sunny warm afternoon with a high of 74. Tonight it's rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, the low around 50. Tomorrow it is windy and cooler. Morning clouds giving way to a partly sunny afternoon, the high 57. On Tuesday and Wednesday, both days sunny and nice with highs in the 60s. Thursday, Friday and Saturday it's sunshine and milder temperatures with highs each day around 70 degrees.
Much more on Hurricane Ophelia, the strongest hurricane to be this far east in the Atlantic, lining up for Ireland landfall tomorrow. We'll talk more about that
They
next
are
half
not
hour.
used to hurricanes.
Won't be a hurricane at that point, but it's going to be have some strong winds for sure.
All right. Thank you, Robert. So Rob has been updating us on the fires in California. You heard earlier the governor of California saying it could be one of the biggest tragedies in state history.
Dire warning there. The situation has been, as we said, really distressing. Adrian, however, has been focusing on one bright spot.
Yes, everybody come to your TV screen right now. You have to watch this powerful video. One family, like so many others, lost their home driving through the flames with only seconds to get out. They had to leave their beloved dog behind.
After a week of deadly and catastrophic fires,
everything is gone.
Some of the tiniest victims rescued, dozens of animals injured after being left behind as their owners fled to safety. This morning, an unexpected discovery.
Izzy's here. Izzy! Izzy! Izzy, come here, baby! Oh my God! Izzy! Oh my God! Hey, baby!
The Weaver's family dog, her tail wagging, thought to have been lost in the fire, found.
We didn't expect to see her.
Jack Weaver and his brother-in-law had been hiking for miles, desperately trying to reach his family's home to survey the damage.
There's so much smoke I can't show you the view.
Stunned after seeing the total loss, and then overjoyed.
Izzy's here! Izzy! Izzy! Izzy, come here, baby!
We were just there to video the house for my parents and see what we could find and praying that she might be there. And we came walking around the corner. We didn't expect to see her, and she came bounding out, and it was elation, tears, happiness. It's one of the greatest moments of my life.
Hi.
She's a lover. She just wants to kiss on everybody.
Izzy, the family's 9-year-old Bernese mountain dog, now Facebook famous. You got to watch the whole video. That reunion has been shared more than 13,000 times. When you watch it, they're walking through. They see there's nothing left of the home. They notice the vineyards were untouched, which is more than a lot of people can say in Northern California. But they're just walking through and just clapping, praying that the dog will come out alive, and there she comes bounding down the street after they hiked for miles to try to get to the family home.
She's a pretty mellow dog, too. I like her.
You could tell she was very calm and very thankful, I'm sure, to see her owners.
And I love what he said, too. It's one of the greatest moments of his life, and you juxtapose that with one of the greatest tragedies he's probably also seen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What a great story.
You have to imagine these owners had to leave, and they just see their home go down in flames, but one silver lining, that dog.
Harrowing days in California.
Thanks for bringing us that story, Adrian.
Thank you.
And coming up on GMA this Sunday morning, the Academy takes action against Harvey Weinstein in the wake of growing allegations of sexual misconduct against the movie mogul.
Plus, a sign of hope for one victim of the massacre in Las Vegas, waking up from a coma after she was shot in the head, what her family is saying this morning.
And can we say goodbye to those Twitter trolls? Changes are coming to Twitter following a protest over actress Rose McGowan temporarily being banned from the service. How it could affect the way you tweet. We're right back.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Cigna. Together all the way.
We are the TV doctors of America, and we may not know much about medicine, but we know a lot about drama.
From scandalous romance
to ridiculous plot twists.
Son?
Dad? We also know you can avoid drama by getting an annual checkup.
So we're partnering with Cigna to remind you to go see a real doctor.
Go, know, and take control of your health. It could save your life. Doctor poses.
Dad. Cigna. Together all the way.
Walk under floating mountains. Take the flight of your life on the back of a banshee and navigate a mystical river. Pandora, only at the Walt Disney World Resort.
I have asthma, one of many pieces in my life. So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor and found a missing piece in my asthma treatment with Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's for adults with asthma not well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Brio won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Brio is specifically designed to open up airways to improve breathing for a full 24 hours. Brio contains a type of medicine that increases the risk of death from asthma problems and may increase the risk of hospitalization in children and adolescents. Brio is not for people whose asthma is well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Once your asthma is well controlled, your doctor will decide if you can stop Brio and prescribe a different asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Do not take Brio more than prescribed. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve or gets worse.
Ask your doctor if 24-hour Brio could be a missing piece for you.
See if you're eligible to pay no more than $10 a month.
Going on a Target run. Need anything?
Toilet paper, hairspray, Snickers, bite size.
I'm on it.
Get new, lower prices on thousands of items. Target run and done. I try hard to get a great shape. This I can do easily. Benefiber Healthy Shape is a clear, taste-free, 100% natural daily fiber that's clinically proven to help me feel fuller longer. Benefiber Healthy Shape. This I can do.
We call what you're experiencing communication issues. Tiffany, why did you dookie on Eric's pillow? She needs a better smelling litter box.
Seriously?
And stronger clumps.
We both want those things.
What you both want is cat's pride.
Cats are complicated. Great Litter is simple. Look for Ultimate Care in the green jug.
When you have type 2 diabetes, you manage your A1C, but you also have a higher risk of heart attack or stroke. Non-insulin Victoza lowers A1C and now reduces cardiovascular risk.
Victoza lowers my A1C and blood sugar better than the leading branded pill.
And for people with type 2 diabetes treating cardiovascular disease, Victoza is now approved to lower the risk of major cardiovascular events such as heart attack, stroke, or death.
And while it isn't for weight loss, Victoza may help you lose some weight.
Victoza is not for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not take Victoza if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Victoza or any of its ingredients. Stop taking Victoza and get medical help right away if you get symptoms of a serious allergic reaction such as rash, swelling, difficulty breathing or swallowing. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis. So stop taking Victoza and call your doctor right away if you have severe pain in your stomach area. Tell your doctor your medical history. Gallbladder problems have happened in some people. Tell your doctor right away if you get symptoms. Taking Victoza with the sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, decreased appetite, indigestion, and constipation. Side effects can lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
Ask your doctor about Victoza.
Hello, you have one new voice message.
Hey, Christina, I'm frustrated. I still want to do whatever I can until we find out what happened.
A murder on Orchard Street.
The trigger man, he's out there somewhere.
Where'd that gun go? His story is all right.
I hope that killer always sleeps with his eye open.
7 heart-pounding episodes streaming on abcnews.com with reports on ABC's Nightline. And listen to the podcast. Dive into the case. Help catch a killer.
Tomorrow, after her speech rocked the VMAs, Pink is flying into GMA, one-on-one with Robin in a rare exclusive about family, love, music, and Pink ignites the morning and performs live. Your Monday morning just got better with Pink, only on GMA. More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source, and download the app now and sign up to get important breaking news alerts wherever you are.
To match people with their perfect Ford, I have to get to know them.
What they like.
What they need. And what they want. That's how we find you the perfect match.
Now you can get a Ford Escape with 0% financing for 72 months, plus $1,500 cash back. Or you can lease for just $165 a month.
Make a connection at your local Ford store today.
Any room, any style, any budget.